Well, we now have a third Eagles player in Jason Kelce confirming that the anger inside the Eagles locker room is starting to kind of boil over following the Birds' second straight embarrassing loss. It's also a brand new update on Zach Ertz and his chances of signing with Philadelphia maybe later this week. And Nick Sirianni was asked point blank if he would take over play calling and start running Jalen Hurts a lot more. You've got to hear his answer. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. Remember like 2 weeks ago when Zach Ertz was released by the Arizona Cardinals and everybody, including myself, expected him to sign with a championship contender like right away? Well, it's now been 2 weeks, and Ertz remains unsigned, and we don't seem to be any closer to becoming an Eagle or a part of any other football team. But just to give you an update, there was a report yesterday from the NFL Network's Tom Pelissero, who said that the three-time Pro Bowler has had some serious conversations with now 6 teams in the playoff hunt, but remains patient as he seeks the right fit. We do know that Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Kansas City are 3 of those teams. Baltimore might be team number 4, but I'm curious who the other 2 or 3 remaining teams are that Ertz has talked to. And I get doing your due diligence, but why is it taking so long? Like, it's not like it's week 5 and Ertz has, 10 more games in the season to decide where he wants to go and get acclimated. We're about to be 4 weeks away from the end of the regular season. And if you're a tight end or anybody joining an offensive system, don't you want to get in there, build some rapport with the tight ends, the receivers, and most importantly, the quarterback before going on a deep playoff run? At this rate, I'm kind of out on Zach Ertz. Like, I get the idea of nostalgia and bringing him back and putting him in 86, and sure, I wouldn't be mad if Philadelphia signed him, but I'd rather just give the targets to Dallas Goedert or Julio Jones, who's been non-existent the past couple of weeks. I feel like at this point, if he was going to be a Philadelphia Eagle, he would have signed with the Eagles weeks ago after having that reported meeting with them. I think he's probably going to go somewhere else. It's just odd it's taken so darn long. Now, speaking of nostalgia, you realize that the last time the Eagles beat the Seattle Seahawks was 2008, 15 years ago? I think Donovan McNabb was the quarterback. Reggie Brown caught a touchdown pass, and the Birds beat Seattle on the road 26-7, hence the really grainy footage. But since then, it's been like 7 straight losses to the Seabirds from out west, including the Sunday night disaster in 2017 where everyone started abandoning ship, but the Birds would go on to win the Super Bowl. And then, of course, the Jadeveon Clowney cheap shot on Carson Wentz, that playoff game where Philadelphia would end up losing at home, but Josh McCown came in and almost came back in that crazy fashion. For whatever reason, Seattle has had the Birds' number the past couple of years, but this is a very important game on Monday night where if you win, especially by double digits, you get back on track very quickly, and the whole narrative we've continued to talk about this week and last week in Philadelphia instantly changes back to winning the NFC East and maybe being the 1 seed. And if you're like me, feeling a little bit glass half full today, Peter King's answer on WIP when asked about his expectations for the Birds winning out is sure to spark your interest.
I think sometimes, when you have 2 weeks like the Eagles have just had, there's no question, the sky is falling, but the Eagles right now, today, without any question in my mind, are one of the 5 best teams in football. So, that's where you want to be in the middle of December. Now, if they lose a couple down the stretch, I might change my tune. But I think they're going to sweep down the stretch and end up playing well and be whatever, 14-3, whatever the record would be, maybe 13-4. They might lose 1. But I think they're still going to go into the postseason, one of the teams to beat throughout the league, not just the NFC.
I totally agree. I think the Birds are due for a good game. They didn't win 10 football games being a terrible football team, despite all their flaws. I know everyone's really upset the past couple of days, and rightfully so. There are plenty of issues, but if you think Philadelphia doesn't have a real chance to win out, I think you're pretty crazy and have already forgotten about the wins against Kansas City and the Buffalo Bills. What's your confidence level heading into the Seattle Seahawks game? Let me know down below. I'm guaranteeing a double-digit win. I'm going to guarantee a double-digit win right now. Philadelphia is going to do it. If you think I'm wrong, let me know why down below. And of course, in order to make my guarantee come true, they have to win by double digits, and that's going to take a wake-up call. And we continue to hear this narrative from multiple people that inside the NovaCare complex, it's getting way, way, way more serious, and people are starting to wake up.
Jason, what would you say the mood of the team is this week?
Yeah, I mean, similar to last week. Everybody's pissed off. Not only pissed off at, the loss, but losing in the way we have. And, now it's going to be even more intensified. Everybody's going to be, whenever you're facing adversity, everyone's senses are heightened, right? You get into this, these states of, everybody's wanting and anxious really to get things corrected and to be shown what and where and how to do things to make that happen, because nobody likes winning or losing football games. Everybody likes winning football games.
And that was echoed by Jordan Mailata, talking about it on the show yesterday. Dallas Goedert on WIP as well. It's very clear that they understand that there are plenty of issues internally, that they need to band together, they need to light a little fire underneath them in this long 18-game season and motivate themselves to make the changes and actually get better. And one of those changes was apparently made today, as Nick Sirianni confirmed that the Eagles, instead of going through a typical midweek walkthrough, they had a full practice today, giving them extra time, obviously with the game on Monday, but also he really wanted to work on some fundamental things, some fundamental issues that has plagued Philadelphia over the past couple of weeks. And while one of those changes could be changing up play calling and giving it back to Nick Sirianni and letting him go ahead and run this offense instead of Brian Johnson, well, that's not going to happen according to Sirianni yesterday.
I do not think that is the issue. I think Brian's done a nice job, handled a lot of different scenarios, and I think that he's doing a good job. And to me, right, I need to be able to manage the game, which is the whole reason why I gave up play calling in the first place, because I felt like I had people in place to be able to call it, and I still feel that way. I need to be able to manage the game the way I see fit. I think that's a lot of respect to the guys that do both. I feel like, to me, managing the game's a full-time job, calling the game's a full-time job, and it takes two people to do that, during the game. And so I'm comfortable with Brian. Again, I think he's done a good job.
And now I get it. He doesn't want to make a play calling change with 4 games left in a season where you still have one of the top offenses in the NFL. And you did move the football last week against Dallas, albeit with all of those fumbles. But once and for all, I'd love to just know officially, is it Brian Johnson's fault or is it Sirianni's fault? And you can basically confirm that by giving the play calling back to Sirianni and seeing what the offense looks like. If it's the same, then maybe it's the players. If it's not the same, then definitely there's a difference between Brian Johnson calling plays and Nick Sirianni calling plays. But alas, that's wishful thinking because clearly they're not giving up play calling to anybody. It'll remain Brian Johnson's main duty. Now, WIP also asked Nick Sirianni, one of the great conspiracy theories on Twitter right now, are you saving Jalen Hurts' running abilities for the playoffs? Are you protecting him by not calling as many RPOs and runs? Listen to Sirianni's answer on that.
We have to do what we got to do to win now. I'm not thinking about the playoffs. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm thinking about how we get better today so we're the best version of ourselves this week, and doing that every day so by the time the playoffs do start, we're the best version of ourselves then. And so we have to do whatever we got to do to win this week. And sometimes that's running Jalen, and sometimes that's not. He had a couple really nice runs in the game the other day, and that's obviously part of his game. And so we'll do what we need to do to win the game. Obviously I understand, how that sounds to you right now because we haven't won the last 2 games, right? And so, but that's how we're thinking every game is, hey, what do we got to do to win this football game? And we'll do what we need to do that.
Again, it can all change. And that's the important part about being an Eagles fan the next couple of days, right? This can all change. All of the issues can be fixed if they go and play a complete football game, a solid football game, slow down the Seahawks offense, play great offense on their own side of the football, and beat the Seattle Seahawks by, 13, 14, 10 points, whatever it is. If they're able to do that, the narrative completely shifts. And then you focus on the Giants, the Cardinals, and the Giants again. Winning out guarantees you the 2 seed, and one San Francisco loss, maybe to Baltimore at the end of the season, completely gives everything back in perspective by putting the Eagles in the 1 seed, hosting playoff games, and getting that first round bye. And I'm confident. I know you guys aren't. I feel like Philadelphia's going to turn things around on Monday night. I think they're going to win by 10 plus points, maybe 14 plus points. Very curious where you guys are at on that as well. And of course, please subscribe. We got plenty more stuff happening the next couple of days and weeks, and we're very close to 33,000 subs here on the channel. If you haven't turned on notifications, I think like 90% of the people subscribed don't have notifications turned on. That way you're not notified whenever things happen. Hit the bell down below. You will not be disappointed. I'm Thomas Mott. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.